Arduino boards are very important when making electronics and mechatronics projects. So in this video, we will cover 4 topics, which are: what is Arduino? What are the components of Arduino Uno? Other popular Arduino boards. How to choose the best Arduino board for your project. So what is Arduino? Arduino is a board used for making computers that can read inputs such as light on a sensor, a finger on a button, or a Twitter message, and turn it into an output by activating a motor, turning on an LED, or publishing something online. Arduino has 2 segments: a hardware part which includes the Arduino board, and the software part which includes the Arduino IDE. The IDE is a simple and easy-to-learn software for writing Arduino programs. The Arduino Uno is the best board to get started with electronics and coding. It is the most used and documented board of the whole Arduino family. What are the components of Arduino Uno? The main components of Arduino Uno board are following: USB connector, power port, microcontroller, analog input pins, digital pins, reset switch, crystal oscillator, USB interface chip, and TX/RX LEDs. Now, let's take a closer look at each component. USB connector. This is a printer USB port used to load a program from the Arduino IDE onto the Arduino board. The board can also be powered through this port if your project doesn't require a current greater than 500 milliamps. Power port. The Arduino board can be powered through this port. Simply connect 7 to 12 volt power source into the power jack of the board. Note: if using more than 12 volts, the voltage regulator may overheat and damage the board. Microcontroller. Think of it as the brain of your Arduino. The microcontroller used on the Uno board is Atmega 328P. Atmega 328P has the following components in it: flash memory of 32 KB. The program loaded from Arduino IDE is stored here. RAM of 2 KB. This is a runtime memory. CPU. It controls everything that goes on within the device. EEPROM of 1 KB. This is a type of non-volatile memory, and it keeps the data even after device restart. Analog pins. The Uno board has 6 analog pins, labeled analog 0 to 5. These pins can read the analog signal from an analog sensor, like a temperature sensor, and convert it into a digital value so that the system understands. Although these pins are labeled as analog, these pins can also be used for digital input or output. Digital pins. You can find these pins labeled digital 0 to 13. These pins can be used as either input or output pins. When used as output, these pins act as a power supply source for the components connected to them, supplying 40 milliamps of current at 5 volts, which is more than enough to light an LED. When used as input pins, they read the signals from the component connected to them. Some of the digital pins are labeled with tilde symbol next to the pin numbers. These pins act as normal digital pins, but can also be used for pulse width modulation, which simulates analog output, like fading an LED in and out. Reset switch. When this switch is clicked, it sends a pulse to the reset pin of the microcontroller and runs the program again from the start. Crystal oscillator. This is a quartz crystal oscillator which oscillates at frequency of 16 MHz. That means it ticks 16 million times a second. On each tick, the microcontroller performs one operation, for example, addition, subtraction, etc. USB interface chip. It converts signals in the USB level to a level that an Arduino Uno board understands. TX and RX LEDs. TX stands for transmit and RX for receive. These are indicator LEDs which blink whenever the Uno board is transmitting or receiving data. Other popular Arduino boards. Other popular Arduino boards are Arduino Leonardo, Nano and Micro, then boards with advanced functionalities and performances like Arduino Mega and Do. There are also some interesting boards like LilyPad and Esplora. Leonardo. Compared to the Arduino Uno, Leonardo is a minor upgrade. It is board-based on the ATmega 32U4. The ATmega 32U4 has 32 KB flash memory, 2.5 KB of SRAM, and 1 KB of EEPROM. Leonardo has 20 digital pins, of which 7 can be used as PWM outputs and 12 as analog inputs, a 16 MHz crystal oscillator, a micro USB connection, a power jack, an aux, and a reset button. The Leonardo differs from all boards in that the ATmega 32U4 has built-in USB communication. This allows the Leonardo to appear to a connected computer as a mouse or keyboard. Nano. The Arduino Nano is a small breadboard-friendly board based on the ATmega 328. It has 32 KB flash memory, 2 KB of SRAM, and 1 KB of EEPROM. Nano has 22 digital pins, of which 6 can be used as PWM outputs and 8 as analog inputs, a 16 MHz crystal oscillator, a mini-B USB connection, an aux, and a reset button. Micro. Micro is the smallest board ever made by Arduino developers. Arduino Micro comprises all functionality of Uno and Leonardo. It is based on the ATmega 32U4. The ATmega 32U4 has 32 KB flash memory, 2.5 KB of SRAM, and 1 KB of EEPROM. Micro has 20 digital pins, of which 7 can be used as PWM outputs and 12 as analog inputs, a 16 MHz crystal oscillator, a micro USB connection, an aux, and a reset button. Mega 2560. The Mega 2560 is a microcontroller board based on the ATmega 2560. It has 256 KB of flash memory for storing code, 8 KB of SRAM, and 4 KB of EEPROM. Mega 2560 has 54 digital pins, of which 15 can be used as PWM, 16 analog inputs, 4 hardware serial ports, a 16 MHz crystal oscillator, a USB connection, a power jack, an aux, and a reset button. The Mega 2560 is designed for more complex projects. With 54 digital pins and 16 analog inputs and a large space for your sketch, it is the recommended board for 3D printers and robotics projects. This gives your project plenty of room and opportunities. Do is similar to the Arduino Mega. It has a 32-bit ARM core microcontroller, 54 digital pins, of which 12 can be used as PWM, 12 analog inputs, 4 hardware serial ports, an 84 MHz clock, and USB OTG-capable connection, 2 digital to analog, 2 TWI, a power jack, an SPI header, a JTAG header, a reset button, and an erase button. Arduino Do board runs at 3.3 volts. Applying voltages higher than 3.3 volts to any input or output pin could damage the board. LilyPad. The Arduino LilyPad is a microcontroller board intended for wearables and e-textiles. LilyPad is well known for its clothing-based projects. It can be stitched to textile material, fabrics, cloth, and likewise mounted power source, sensors, and actuators with conductive textile fiber. LilyPad is based on the ATmega 168V or the ATmega 328V. It has 14 digital pins, of which 6 can be used as PWM, 6 analog inputs, an 8 MHz clock, 16 KB flash memory, 1 KB of SRAM, and 512 bytes of EEPROM. Esplora. Esplora is an Arduino board intended for gaming enthusiasts for hassle-free gaming experience and used as a gaming controller. Esplora Arduino board consists of joystick, linear potentiometer, slider, microphone, buttons control, temperature sensor, light sensor, and 3-axis accelerometer, not the typical set of input or output pins. How to choose the best Arduino board for your project. To summarize, for a beginner, the Arduino Uno is the most recommended board to get started. Arduino Nano and Micro can be chosen for small and simple Arduino projects depending upon your size and cost limits. If you have a need for greater number of pins or serial communication devices to be processed with the same controller, or you are making more complex projects, like 3D printer, you can go for the Arduino Mega or Do. Thanks for watching.